But I want to turn to the big story that we are tracking today, because External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj this evening has finally responded to Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif at the United Nations General Assembly. Hitting out at Sharif on terror, Sushma said that while India wished Pakistan on Eid, it got Pathankot and Uri attacks in return. She also asserted that Kashmir is an integral part of India and Pakistan should stop dreaming about it.
आतंकवाद मानवाधिकारों का सबसे बड़ा उल्लंघन है, क्योंकि वो निर्दोष लोगों को निशाना बनाता है, बेगुनाहों को मारता है। वो किसी व्यक्ति या देश का नहीं बल्कि मानवता का अपराधी है। दुनिया में ऐसे देश हैं जो बोते भी हैं तो आतंकवाद, उगाते भी हैं तो आतंकवाद, बेचते भी हैं तो आतंकवाद और निर्यात भी करते हैं तो आतंकवाद। आतंकवादियों को पालना कुछ देशों का शौक बन गया है। ऐसे शौकीन देशों की पहचान करके उनकी जवाबदेही सुनिश्चित की जानी चाहिए और ऐसे देशों को भी चिन्हित करना चाहिए जहां संयुक्त राष्ट्र द्वारा प्रतिबंधित आतंकवादी सरेआम जलसे कर रहे हैं, प्रदर्शन निकालते हैं, जहर उगलते हैं और उनके ऊपर कोई कार्रवाई नहीं होती। इसके लिए उन आतंकवादियों के साथ वे देश भी दोषी हैं जो उन्हें ऐसा करने देते हैं। ऐसे देशों की विश्व समुदाय में कोई जगह नहीं होनी चाहिए। 21 तारीख को इसी मंच से पाकिस्तान के प्रधानमंत्री ने भारत के संबंध में 2 बातें कही जिनका जवाब देना चाहूंगी। एक तो उन्होंने कहा कि मेरे देश में मानवाधिकार का उल्लंघन हो रहा है। मैं कहना चाहूंगी कि जिनके अपने घर शीशे के हों उन्हें दूसरों पर पत्थर नहीं फेंकने चाहिए। जरा एक बार बगल में झांक कर देख लें क्या हो रहा है बलूचिस्तान में और वो खुद क्या कर रहे हैं वहां। मैं कह सकती हूं यहां कि आज जो बलूचिस्तान में हो रहा है वो यातनाओं की पराकाष्ठा है। कभी ईद की शुभकामनाएं, कभी क्रिकेट की शुभकामनाएं, कभी स्वास्थ्य के हाल का कुशलक्षेम। हमने 2 बरस में मित्रता का वो पैमाना खड़ा किया जो उससे पहले कभी नहीं था। लेकिन हमें मिला क्या बदले में? पठानकोट, उरी, बहादुर अली। मैं पूछना चाहती हूं, हम शर्तें लगा रहे हैं या आप दूसरी नीयत दिखा रहे हैं? बहादुर अली तो जिंदा सबूत है हमारे पास, जिंदा कि सीमा पार से आतंकवादी आया है, लिखित में सबूत है हमारे पास उसका। इस तरह के भड़काऊ बयान देकर वो भारत का कोई हिस्सा हमसे छीन सकता है। तो मैं पूरी दृढ़ता और स्पष्टता के साथ यहाँ ये कह देना चाहती हूँ कि आपका ये मंसूबा कभी कामयाब नहीं होगा। कश्मीर भारत का अभिन्न हिस्सा है। जम्मू कश्मीर भारत का अभिन्न हिस्सा है और अभिन्न हिस्सा रहेगा। इसलिए ये ख्वाब देखना छोड़ दें।
Strong words from Sushma Swaraj today at the UN General Assembly. Remember, this speech comes a few days after the Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif used the UNGA forum to target India on the issue of Jammu and Kashmir. Just listen to exactly how Sushma was responding to what Sharif had said earlier.
We are open to discussing all measures of restraint and responsibility with India in any forum or format and without any conditions.
मैं स्वयं इस्लामाबाद गई थी और कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव बायलैटरल डायलॉग हमने शुरू किया था इकट्ठे बैठकर। क्या कोई शर्त रखी थी? शर्तों के आधार पर नहीं, मित्रता के आधार पर हमने पाकिस्तान के साथ सारे के सारे विवाद सुलझाने की पहल की थी।
So the Shiv Sena is saying it's bhashanbazi, but most others are saying India has taken exactly the right step when it comes to some form of strategic restraint. 8+ is what most of our guests are giving, and that's what I'm going with at the moment. Raj Chengappa, editorial director with the India Today Group, is with us. Veena Sikri, former diplomat, with us. Also with us, senior diplomat K.C. Singh, Shankar Prasad, the former army man. Also joining me at the moment is Sanjay Jha and GVL Narasimha Rao of the Congress and BJP respectively. 8+. Most people are saying this speech has struck the right chords. Shankar Prasad, are you going to go along with that? That this speech, General, struck the right chords. It was designed in a way to create diplomatic pressure, isolate Pakistan diplomatically is the big headline that's coming out. It's not about muh tod jawab by crossing the border as some generals and the Shiv Sena have been talking about.
See, Rajdeep, when you are making a presentation to an audience like the United Nations General Assembly, where the entire world is sitting, you have to be very clear as to what is the objective of your presentation. The objective of the presentation was very, very clear in this speech. That Agenda 2030 is the prime objective before the world. And we are accomplishing all the headings that are there in Agenda 2030. While we are doing this, the entire world, all responsible nations are looking towards economic development, sharing information and technology, importing and exporting various things that we need. Well, look at this state called Pakistan. They're only talking about terrorism. They're only talking about importing and exporting terrorism. The only country which is exporting, they only export terrorism is what she said very clearly. So the objective of the whole presentation was to say what is our objective in relation to Agenda 2030, what is the world's objective towards Agenda 2030, and what is the Pakistan's agenda towards the future. And in this manner, to a very well audience, to a very intelligent and perceptive audience, she's been able to create an environment in a world forum, in a diplomatic language, to say, we must isolate Pakistan.
Sir, I take the point.
If she had said simply Pakistan, that would have not made such a lot. No, I just want to say that a lot of people are saying, why not Pakistan? I am saying she was right. She also said many other states. So the world body has to look at all those states which are promoting terrorism. They all need to be isolated.
So
I
she
would
didn't
give her 10 out of 10.
No, you're giving her 10 out of 10. You're giving her 10 out of 10. But there are those who will say that there is an international...
I would have given 11 out of 10.
You would have given her 11 out of 10.
No, I would have given 11.
Yes.
If she had only made... If she had made one more little point, in whichever way, one word, that Pakistan is a nuclear state, it's a rogue state, and it can use its nuclear devices across the globe, not only against India, in the form of a dirty bomb. And United States could be a target, UK could be a target, France could be a target. One word about nuclear.
General, hold on. You got Raj. It was a nuanced speech. It was designed for an international audience, but there is a domestic constituency. You heard Sanjay Raut of the Shiv Sena. There are those who are saying, where is that muh tod jawab? Do you believe that therefore the time has come to accept that a government in power has to behave with a certain responsibility? Even the point that General Prasad is making there, saying she should have called Pakistan a rogue state, she should have said this is a country with nuclear weapons which is promoting terrorism. Is it possible beyond the point to give that muh tod jawab in the way a Ram Madhav might want jaw for a tooth?
Well, you know, firstly, let's deal with the issue of raising nuclear terror or nuclear bombs in the UN thing. You wouldn't want to get that far. You wouldn't want to even talk about the UN resolution that Nawaz Sharif wanted to. You're going to stick to the points that you're really strong on. You don't want to create a scare scenario across the globe which restricts your options. And if you really look, what are your objectives that you want to achieve currently? Is it to dismember Pakistan? Is it to take POK? Is it to tone down terror? Is it to do a tit for tat? You will then choose your option, and the first two will certainly lead to a nuclear conflagration because Pakistan is...
So what do you believe is our objective? What is our post-Uri objective?
I think, one, to send a strong message about terror, which echoes across the world. That is why we're trying for international isolation. We are not going to precipitate a war. We have larger stakes. We are saying we will fight the battle of poverty. We're not going to fight this war, which we think is falling straight into the trap. So we're going to come with a strong response on that front. That will be calibrated. We don't want that to escalate into other things. We will teach, make Pakistan pay, but at our time and our place of choosing. I don't think Prime Minister Modi has eschewed that option completely. He has made it clear. At the same time, we are behaving like a responsible power. We have high stakes. We want to be on the UN Security Council. We want to get an NSG membership. We want to get it with growth and development. This is the time for statesmanship. And I think Prime Minister Modi showed that at his speech in Kozhikode.
Yes.
I think that this is a very deliberately well-crafted speech, part of the very graduated move to isolate Pakistan completely on the issue of terror, to isolate them globally. Now, I think that, if we carry forward what she said, and we say that, look, the UN has to take action on their own designated terrorist individuals and organizations, and if they know that this guy is there, and Dawood Ibrahim comes also in that category, that we must take some action. UN must join India in taking action. Now we can discuss with UN what action can be taken. The second aspect, I think, which we haven't talked about enough, is also the CCIT, the Comprehensive Convention. Actually, even in June, Sushma Swaraj herself had given a press conference where she said she has been speaking to people, she has already spoken to the Arab League countries, she has spoken to the Gulf Cooperation Council, she's overcoming the objections. Even China is supporting India on CCIT.
This is the comprehensive, for our viewers, comprehensive convention on international terror.
Yes.
So essentially trying to isolate Pakistan. My point though is, there will be those KCC, and then I'll come to the politicians, there will be those who will say, is there a tone of, diplomacy is painstaking. Diplomacy is not going to yield results overnight. But the public out there may want results overnight. There are party men of GVL Narasimha Rao's party in particular who want results overnight. There are people who supported the BJP who are today saying that when Mr. Modi was in the opposition, he would say, "Hum muh tod jawab denge." Is this the muh tod jawab that you see, or is this a more graduated, nuanced policy that India has adopted towards Pakistan?
I think this is the government realizing the perils of rhetoric, pre-election rhetoric, which catches up with you. But I think government is doing a good job in moderating the feelings of their followers. It'll take a while, because look at the stage setting. PM speaks yesterday, differentiates between not forgetting what has happened in Uri and a response to that, and separately saying the 1,000-year war, which Bhutto used to talk about, is about poverty reduction, is about illiteracy. He moved it in that direction. So he's trying to really tamper down the feelings, differentiate. And then today, of course, came another forward move on the Indus Water Treaty, where another look at it, and to say we will interpret it now more restrictively. We are not abandoning it. But certainly as far as Chenab and Jhelum are concerned, run-of-the-river projects, we'll apply them more restrictively and as per the letter of the treaty. Now that is a signal which is sent to Pakistan, that look, this is something we can calibrate. If you can calibrate terror and you keep telling us, yes, we can stop it if you satisfy us, we can calibrate the water flow using the clauses of the treaty. And then Sushma Swaraj goes to the UN and delivers a largely very balanced speech. As I said earlier, the only little flaw was on Kashmir. She was addressing more the domestic audience than the international audience.
You use the word balanced, and you used it more than once, and I think we are all using the word nuanced, balanced speech. But GVL Narasimha Rao, is that what the BJP wants? A nuanced, balanced approach to Pakistan? Or does your party, and I talk about the party cadres here, are you expecting a little bit more? And therefore, there is a sense of disappointment among the cadres that you would like to see more than just speeches being made.
No, Rajdeep, our party cadres are highly enthused by the government's response. We've just had a national convention yesterday. You should have been there to see the kind of electrifying atmosphere that existed both in our national convention, where more than 1,000 of our party leaders were present, and also at the public meeting in a state where we never had any political presence. There is tremendous response to the Prime Minister's approach. We have already made huge strides in isolating Pakistan. I think you need to acknowledge it, you need to understand it, Pakistan is trying desperately for the last 2.5, 3 months
Sir, I understand,
to
I
internationalize
appreciate
Kashmir.
it.
Can
Sir,
I just
I
finish?
understand and I appreciate it. I am asking you about those who are saying muh tod jawab, eat ka jawab patthar se, who are saying, you know, there are those. I am asking, where do those stand? Where does a Ram Madhav stand, who a week ago said it is time to give a job for a tooth? That's all I am asking. I appreciate your stand. I am asking about those who want a much harder, aggressive approach. The one criticism that I am hearing at times is, where is the aggression?
No, I think, Rajdeep, let me talk about my party's view on this. Our entire party leadership, entire party cadres are behind this government. For the first time, you see Pakistan being isolated on the international stage.
The Shiv Sena wants more.
For the last 2.5 months, dozens of MPs going and trying to internationalize Kashmir. Please, I think you're not giving me time, Rajdeep. This is not fair. Let me make my statement.
Please do.
I think we are making massive successes. I think they are not able to. Pakistan has not got a response to the Prime Minister's speech. Entire speech of Nawaz Sharif was devoted to Kashmir. Did you hear one international leader referring to it in their in the subsequent speeches? On the other hand, all the global powers, including some Islamic countries, are telling Pakistan to finish its infrastructure, terrorism infrastructure. So this is a major success by this government. This has never been the case in 7-decade post-independence history. But this government is considering the entire range of options,
sir,
both diplomatic, military, and otherwise.
Sir, I think
the Prime Minister's speech at Kozhikode, Prime Minister's speech at Kozhikode gives a signal to the whole country. We will not spare in our any efforts in further isolating Pakistan and ensuring that they behave.
Okay, as I said, one appreciates the stand that has been taken. I'm just questioning how the followers and parties like the Shiv Sena, who are your allies, are responding. But be that as it may, let me get a Pakistani response, because Fawad Hussain Chaudhry, a lawyer and someone who's been a political commentator, former advisor to the Prime Minister of Pakistan, is joining me. Fawad Hussain Chaudhry, how are you responding? Because Sushma Swaraj has really given you the kind of response which has exposed, some would say, the double standards of Pakistan. You target us on Kashmir, as she says, people who live in glass houses should not throw stones. She referred to Baluchistan. She specifically again referred to the fact that there are countries that are exporting terror which should be isolated. How does Pakistan see Sushma Swaraj's response, Mr. Chaudhry? Okay, I'm not being able to get the audio, I'm afraid, at the moment. We'll try and see if we can get back to Mr. Chaudhry in a moment. But Sanjay Jha, Shashi Tharoor has responded and said it's a well-crafted speech. Is the Congress also now willing to accept that this policy of strategic restraint, of ensuring that diplomacy is escalated step by step, is the right way forward? Will you give credit finally to Sushma Swaraj and to the Prime Minister?
Rajdeep, I think even till today, I don't think we have a clear articulation of what the policy is going to be going forward. Don't forget, I've heard BJP's very senior strategic spokespersons, who are apparently masters of foreign policy, make a statement that Pakistan won't exist to celebrate next year's Independence Day. You have Mr. Modi also talking with a double edged weapon. He is at one point addressing the people of Pakistan on matters totally unrelated to the current challenges we have. On the other hand, he says that the army has a free hand and has a weapon in its control. Now, end of day, the truth is that you cannot, I think you are being very charitable in ignoring Mr. Modi's belligerent rhetoric in the elections leading to 2014. In that case, are we endorsing political hypocrisy?
No,
because
he
mocked the UPA's policy of strategic restraint under the acquisition of chicken biryani diplomacy.
No, Mr. Jha, I did make the point that the government has moved away from the politics that it practiced as an oppositional party to perhaps becoming a more responsible party once in power. Are you ready to acknowledge it? My point is the government willing to acknowledge that this is now a more balanced, nuanced approach that is being followed? Is the opposition willing to acknowledge it, or do you also want a muh tod jawab? Let's get it clear. Do you also want a jaw for a tooth? like Ram Madhav is saying?
No, 1 minute. No, 1 minute. Rajdeep, let's be very clear. The Congress party has always called for a mature political and a diplomatic response. The question that we are asking of the BJP is, are they acknowledging today that the UPA policy of strategic restraint is what they are going to adhere to going forward? Because this is the same policy that Mr. Modi personally mocked as chicken biryani diplomacy and a whole host of other acquisitions that he made of the Congress party. Remember, these had political overtones. So you can't treat it that he assumed power and now suddenly everything he said before is a jumla. Well, in that case, we are making a mockery of election rallies and what people say.
No, I'm not making
and
a
the
mockery.
fundamental point, the big fundamental point, what is the policy? We don't know.
What is the policy? Okay, what is the policy? We don't know. You're saying we don't still know. Veena Sikri, do we know this government? Just a minute, sir. Do we know this government's policy as a result of today?
Absolutely. I think the government today has a very well crafted incremental policy on isolating Pakistan globally on terror. I think they have tried for 2 years with the friendship card.
So the sari shawl diplomacy is out. The idea of reaching out to Pakistan, the Prime Minister flying down to Nawaz Sharif for his granddaughter's wedding, for his own birthday, all that is over, you believe? Is that clear now? Has a red line been drawn today?
Those were very well-intentioned gestures of friendship meant to convey to Pakistan that we are holding out the card of friendship. And you come on board, and he was reaching out to the civilian leadership. But obviously in Pakistan today, the civilian leadership does not count for anything. It is the military which is dictating these terms. And now with the military showing its true colors, Pathankot, Uri and Bahadur Ali, as Sushma Swaraj said, I think it's very clear.
Have the red lines been drawn?
Yes.
You believe they have? Have the red lines been drawn?
Rajdeep, we've been through this for 20 years.
Yes.
We have seen red lines being drawn and then withdrawn very quickly in 2-3 months, and India-Pakistan resuming relations. So I wouldn't draw, a full stop on any of these things. I think both sides are playing more than just a chess game. It's one, of course, of a lot of blood and not something that we would like to see. But Mr. Modi has thrown the gauntlet, saying, you push this too far, we'll do Balochistan, we could tamper with Indus. Where do you want to take this? It is not hitting us because our growth in 30 years that we've done cross-border terrorism, we have grown phenomenally. You stayed down there in the economy. You choose, do you want to play a war on poverty and unemployment, or do you want to play
Is it brinkmanship? Is it coercive diplomacy? When you raise Balochistan, when you raise Indus, are you putting a red rag there and daring Pakistan in a sense that if you do ABC, we will do CDE?
We are raising the ante.
You're raising the ante.
Yes, certainly you are. And I think that is a good enough policy where you're saying he's not directly doing what he's doing. He's so far talking of human rights violation in Balochistan, but it is clearly a signal that he's saying, you start doing all this and continue doing it, I'll make you pay in a manner you wouldn't like it.
Fawad Hussain Chaudhry, has that message gone down to people in Pakistan? You're a lawyer and political commentator, former advisor to the Prime Minister. Has that message gone that India is now putting certain red lines in place?
Yeah, the message that has gone down in Pakistan is that Prime Minister Modi has been caught in his own bluster, and now he really don't know how to come out of it. They started with the nuclear bomb on Pakistan, then they came down on the strategic isolation, and now they are saying that water will not flow. This is the kind of rhetoric that Prime Minister Modi is.
Is Pakistan seeing this as rhetoric? Are you telling me that Pakistan sees this as rhetoric? You don't see this as a real threat to the idea that Pakistan, if you continue to export terror, India reserves the right to perhaps block water to Pakistan?
There's a new definition of isolation India has invented. When Russians, who are the closest ally of Indians, are in Pakistan on a joint military exercise, India thinks that Pakistan is isolated. When China says that in case of any aggression, China will stand with Pakistan, and despite all efforts of Indian Foreign Office, they say that the Americans refuse to stand with India. India has its own definition of isolation, which we don't know what's going on with them. So right now,
1 minute.
Pakistan is playing with the world, India is trying to play alone. So that's the problem right now with India, and we think that Prime Minister Modi is only.
The sad part of TV debates is that they result in a tutu meme, even at a time when our politicians are trying. Certainly the Indian side is trying to avoid that, but let me get a definition of this word isolation from you, KC Singh. What does isolation mean? The Pakistanis today on my program are raising, or Mr. Chaudhary is saying, where is the isolation? The Russians are doing exercises with us. The US has not outrightly condemned us. China is with us. So where is this isolation that you talk about?
I agree with that. I've said this also, I've written about it. You can't isolate Pakistan overnight. It's a very gradual, slow process. They will get out of your ring, then you'll have to again corner them. It's a gradual process. I think what the government is doing is, I call it a counter-asymmetrical war strategy, which is they're developing new pressure points. It doesn't mean the pressure points come into play tomorrow morning, but they are signaling that, look, it's not business as usual. We are not going to go back to the old cycle of dialogue, terror, dialogue. This time it's going to be pressure points till you give it up. So the red lines are wider, thicker, more secure than in the past. I don't think there'll be any progress till UP elections in India and till the change of Chief of Army Staff, which is November. In Pakistan, whether Sharif stays, General Sharif stays, or he goes, that's their domestic compulsion. And here I think till UP election, I don't expect any climb down. I see the SAARC summit postponed. I don't see how Prime Minister can go there under these circumstances. Probably a postponement, which is further embarrassment for Pakistan if Bangladesh and Afghanistan join India in saying, yes, we cannot attend the summit. Right. In any case, a single country can. You need consensus. Even one country can object. But if 3 countries are objecting, that's a big embarrassment for Pakistan. So this game will go on over the next month or so, while we wait to see what local reaction to Uri is there, which inevitably should come. Then come with winter. In any case, things will quieten down, LSC will quieten down, we'll get a firmer hold on the valley, and by, I think, December, January, we'll know where we're going.
GVL Narasimha Rao, how far will the government of India keep up this pressure? Is this only till the UP elections, as is being hinted, I think, by KC Singh, the domestic compulsion that till the UP elections are over in February, March, India has no choice but to keep the heat on Pakistan? Will it be dialogue and biryani one day, and will it be next day the kind of red lines that we are seeing being drawn today, whether it's on Baluchistan, whether it's on terrorism? Are we going to see blow hot, blow cold once again, or are we clear that this is the only way forward? Keep Pakistan isolated.
Rajdeep, all the foreign policy experts can see that this government and Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi has unveiled a new doctrine. And if Congress party chooses to be deaf and does not want to see the policy that is unveiled, I think they are entitled to do so.
So what is the new doctrine?
The pressure point, there are UP elections certainly 6 months down the line. And there are other elections 8 months later. Elections will continue to happen.
How are you specifically different to Manmohan Singh's
with
policies
Manmohan
to
Singh, Pakistan? I think I need to say this. Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi is a man who has a mandate. Manmohan Singh did not have mandate. He could only get possibly sympathy from Pakistan. But when they look at Prime Minister Modi, but every statement that Mr. Modi makes, every move that this government makes, that's a long-term policy of this government. He is not a prisoner of Sonia Gandhi or any other leader.
No, 1 minute. Raj Chengappa, why are you shaking your head? Why are you so disbelieving?
I'm actually surprised by Mr. Rao when he says that before Modi there was darkness and after he came there's all light on Pakistan. I think all governments evaluate this realistically. Mr. Modi has some new things. Prime Minister Manmohan Singh had his own way of dealing with crises. And if you look at the history of it, in 3 major crises, each of these prime ministers acted with great deal of responsibility. Whether you look at Mr. Vajpayee during 1999 Kargil, didn't go for an all-out war. When Parliament was attacked, restrained, got statements out. 2008 in Mumbai, when the commercial capital of India was held hostage, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh didn't go for war. He used other options. Isolation was one of them, which he practiced fairly successfully. So to say that nothing happened before that and Mr. Modi is doing is wrong, I think it is important at this time for all of us to get together and evaluate each of these options without putting fingers into the past and say, what is the best option we can do to tackle Pakistan unitedly as a country?
You know, that, General Prasad, will be though one of the issues as we move ahead. There is a certain impatience among a certain constituency. Do you believe that both Sushma Swaraj and the Prime Minister have sent a message to that constituency, some of whom could be in the military as well, and told them, look, it's easier to fight a war in a TV studio than it is on the LOC, and therefore the first aim of any government, a responsible government, will be diplomatic and not necessarily militarily?
Yes, Rajdeep, this is for the first time in the last many decades that I can see a strategic culture developing. This country has been completely devoid of a strategic culture. The strategic culture, when I say it, means not only the military options, but also diplomatic, political, economic, and all that goes with it. This is the first time a holistic approach seems to be on the table. Whether it is by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the last 1 week or 10 days, or whether it is by the Foreign Minister in United Nations General Assembly today. There is a feeling, those of us who are not shouting at the top of our voices, I want to go to war tomorrow, well, I don't think I'm not a party to that. You see, war is not an easy game. It is all right to say, we will fight and bring Pakistan to its knees. But we have to plan for it. We have to, the military doesn't fight alone. Just think of the past. How did the military fight in 71? How did the military fight in 65? And why did we mobilize unnecessarily and got nothing at the end of it in 1990 when Parliament was attacked? We just mobilized. We just mobilized. What did we achieve at the end of it? 400-500 Indian soldiers killed, such a lot of expenditure on no rhyme or reason, achieved nothing. Because we did not plan. When you plan a military operation, a nation plans a strategic offensive, you take into consider millions of things. Why did Musharraf fail in Kargil?
Sir, can I hold you now?
Taken that operation to its finality.
Sir, can I just hold you, because I want to end this with what has been the other big talking point today, the Prime Minister's meeting which he held on the Indus Water Treaty, and he said that blood and water cannot go together. Fawad Hussain Chaudhry, is that message going to go loud and clear in Pakistan? How is Pakistan going to see it if India puts Pakistan to the test when it comes to the water treaty? That if you don't do ABC, we will use the Indus Water Treaty if necessary to in some way send out a tough message to Pakistan. How will that be seen in Pakistan, Mr. Chaudhry?
India, in last 3 wars, even this question of Indus Water Treaty has not been raised. And this also shows that how childish the behavior of present Indian administration is. Because this treaty is basically an internationally sponsored treaty. India cannot do that because the World Bank will stop all its assistance to India. They will also, all other international financial organizations will stop all their assistance to India.
So you don't see it as a threat. You seem to again see this as an empty threat. Is that true, Veena Sikri, that India cannot risk actually in any form even diluting the Indus Water Treaty?
No, India is not diluting it. India is utilizing what is granted to it under the treaty. Within the letter and spirit of the law of the treaty, whatever is granted to us, Eastern River
Pakistan seems to suggest that if India attempts that, Pakistan will internationalize the issue.
Absolutely not.
The World Bank will step in.
No, there is no way. The World Bank cannot step in until the treaty has been violated.
No, I think,
and there is no way
I
of
think let's get the priorities right.
Yes.
All right. Yes, you could use it as a threat. You could say things, but I don't think you can just cut off that treaty.
Why not cut him off?
No, and secondly, I think what is the objective? You will unify Pakistan like nothing ever before. You're not going to end terrorism. You're going to escalate things. So I think it's very important when we're looking at the Indus Water.
I think there is one point on the Indus Water Treaty that we have not accepted. That India was extraordinarily generous in 1960 in granting 80% of the entire 6 rivers to Pakistan. All right, and we did it in the spirit of friendship and peace. And not only that, but even the 20% we got, we have not been utilized. Like Tulbul project, it's been shelved in J&K. But the people of J&K are so angry. If you think the people of Pakistan are angry, ask the people of J&K.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying as a strategy.
No, may I just finish?
I'm not saying that you shouldn't do some of that shadow boxing that you're doing.
I want to make one very important point.
Yes.
That India is facing such a threat of terror. I don't think why we should not react to it in our own way.
So you think the Prime Minister is right when he says blood and water cannot go together,
yes.
and therefore even if there are some international costs to be borne in terms of anger maybe within the World Bank or necessary, India should be ready to exercise it.
We are being led by 1,000 cuts. We've got since 1989 rising terror, Uri, Pathankot, Bombay. Why shouldn't we be angry? Why shouldn't we do an Islamic State in Kashmir? The Islamic State trying its very best to establish itself in Kashmir. I mean, why shouldn't we be able to react against that and take every step we can within our authority, within our rights to stop it? Okay. We have every right to do that, and we have to do it.
Okay, I'm going to leave it there because what you said at the end, in a sense, perhaps a little bit more aggressively than Sushma Swaraj said, reflects perhaps the mood of the country at the moment, or certainly the mood within the diplomatic corps and within the strategic community at the moment. I appreciate all my guests joining us. My take on a day when Sushma Swaraj has given a speech, and then we will come to the day's other top stories after a break. My take: Sushma Swaraj's speech hit all the right buttons. Without any unnecessary theatrics, Ms. Swaraj made India's case against Pak-sponsored terror with great effect. For all his bluster, Nawaz Sharif can't escape a basic fact. Terror groups have flourished in Pakistan for over 2 decades. Islamabad can't shirk responsibility by calling them non-state actors. What stops the Sharif's government, for example, from acting against a Hafiz Saeed? Dialogue and violence cannot coexist. Pakistan must rebuild trust and confidence before seeking a dialogue on Kashmir. India has drawn the red lines today. If Islamabad continues to violate those lines, they must risk growing isolation.